Jimmy. Jimmy. Jim James, son!
Welcome back to part 3 of the $600 Chevy Prizm, Geo Prizm, Toyota Corolla, Geo Corolla, Chevy something repair. So in the last video I left off saying if the check engine light comes on for the evap, again, we're going to have to change the canister. What do you think that is? That's the evap canister. I did order an OEM Toyota canister. This is not an aftermarket cheap reproduction. This is an actual OEM charcoal canister. And now I have the car jacked up. And yes, the car does have a jack stand underneath it. And as you can hear, I have little helpers just about everywhere helping me out with this repair. So what I have to do is get up underneath here. And I've already started disconnecting parts. And I have to get that charcoal canister out. So I have to get this exhaust to move over, about, I would say, probably about half a foot. But unfortunately, I have little creatures I have to deal with the entire time while I am doing this, which is not a bad thing. I love my loafs, but they are kind of taking up my blanket. So I got to get this exhaust muffler, which is already kind of bent, moved out of the way, and then I can begin to disconnect some more of those lines. So other than the fact that they were nice enough to hide this charcoal canister basically in an unreachable spot. You know, there's this huge spot right here that's completely devoid of anything that would have been perfect for this. But nah, stick it under the rear cross member, under the muffler. You know, the hot thing next to the plastic thing. That's how we do it.
Barely my assholes.
Anyway, this would be a lot easier if it weren't for certain things. Isn't that right, fathead? Go on, tell the people what you have to say. What about you, balls? Yeah. So, there are loafs occupying my crotch region. So, hopefully I can not move around too much to disturb the loaf, but still get this out. I am going to have to unbolt the muffler right here. And then squeeze these little tabs out so I can get the muffler out of the way. Well, that was a nice 45-minute ordeal getting this little frickin' thingamajig. It was this line right here, this big line, that was the real pain in the butt. So I did move the exhaust out of the way. But this line right here, because it's brittle old plastic, one of the tabs cracked off. I am hoping, because it still has 3 of the prongs, that this will be enough to hold on tight. If not, I'm going to have to drop the whole gas tank and change this piece here, because I believe this is connected to the evap system on top of the fuel tank, and I don't think you can get to it from behind the back seat. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, I don't know. We will see, I guess. Okay, this stupid freaking thing is back where it belongs, all bolted up and happy. If you are not mechanically inclined, I do not ever recommend replacing that. That was a little bit of a pain in the butt.
Barely my assholes.
And of course, me being stupid, forgot where all the lines connect to. Luckily, I had taken pictures beforehand, and I was able to reconnect all the lines. Some of the lines, you have to plumb a new line to right there, this is for the pressure sensor. And then this line here, like the main evap line, was not fun to get to. And I'm hoping I don't have to replace. I'm hoping it will hold pressure. Yeah, not fun. Well, it's about a week later, and as you can imagine, the check engine light has come back on. Even after changing the canister, even after changing the gas cap, even after changing these lines up here. So there's some kind of either leak or something going on in this system. So what we have here is a Schrader valve test port for the evap system. I've removed the Schrader valve. Yes, balls, I have. Where's Balls? There he is. This is a smoke machine. So what this does is you hook compressed air up to it, and I do have a compressor hooked up to it. As it warms up now, you know, we press the button, let it warm up. It will begin to produce smoke, which will come out of here. And then we will stick this into the evap port and see where the smoke is leaking from. I have a hunch that on top of the gas tank there's something called an overfill check valve. And apparently that's very common with these. I had no idea that thing even existed. But somebody told me that that's a very common issue with these. So we're going to be testing with all its wacky inventions, the evap system, and see if I can get a leak to produce. So now I'm gonna smoke you.
I'm going to smoke you.
Last words before I spark it? Wait!
Put that in the evap port here. Twist it. As you can see, there's no more smoke leaking. So wherever that evap leak is, it's going to pressurize the system all the way back to the tank. I may have to go get the scan tool and flip some of them solenoids open, because I'm sure some of the solenoids may be stopping the flow. And this will give us an idea of where our leak is at. Well, unfortunately, I'm not seeing anything up here. So my guess is that our leak is farther back here, because if you see here, the smoke machine is smoking away.
Smoking!
So I have this tester hooked into the gas tank now, and I am noticing quite a bit of smoke rolling out from here. In fact, it's coming from right there. Do you see that? I mean, it's a fair bit of smoke. You can see it. And the way I know it's not the smoke from here is the smoke from here is rising. So it's coming out of here, as you can see. And it's leaking up and around. But then we have a full-on wisp. We have like a full-on, what is that fucking term? We got a full poltergeist up in this motherfucker. Coming right from there. Well, it's been one more week, and I had to order those parts like I was talking about. That is the... I forget the name of this freaking thing, but it's the valve on top of the gas tank that controls the tank level. It's like a rollover shut-off valve or something to that nature. There's the part number, you can Google it. Fuel valve assembly. It also came with the rubber grommet and this hose, which I'm going to use to replace one of the hoses up underneath there. I do have the car jacked up. There is not one, but two jack stands. So in case anything decides to go wrong, we'll be okay. Here is our fuel tank. Right there. I don't have high hopes for this, but I think we might be able to do it. So we're gonna try. Unfortunately, the exhaust runs right underneath of the freaking gas tank in this car. I don't need to move it down too ridiculously much, just enough to get the actual valve out, which is about this tall. So we're not gonna drop it to the floor, we're just gonna drop it about here or so. But enough yammering, let's see if we can do this. Well, we're underneath here now. I do have the jack supporting the gas tank. The more than half full gas tank, I will also mention, because I'm stupid and put a full tank of gas in it last week. Oops. I guess I just couldn't resist that $2.40 guess.
He was the mechanic. And I said, what am I going to do? He said, come down here in the basement where mechanics, where all the pull.
Oh, man. So there's one of the straps right there holding it in. There's another strap right here. Right there. They're both 14s. We're going to hope this piddly little jack can support it. If not, I have other jacks that are not being used currently, as you can see, that we can use to support it. I did have to remove the exhaust flange once more to get enough distance to drop this tank a little bit. I do definitely smell vapors coming out of the top of here, so I think we're on the right track. So I'm going to start pulling off all of these hoses and begin lowering the gas tank. The gas tank is down enough for me to see the valve on top. You see that little valve right there? That's what we are after. That's our prize. So I gotta basically wedge my hand up in here, get this line off. There's a metal sheath, like a shield, that I'm gonna have to smack off with a hammer. And that sheath will then, it's like a little stormtrooper helmet, or like a Darth Vader helmet, and it sort of slides backwards. And that'll allow the valve to pop up, and I can screwdriver the valve out of there and then take this evap hose. And I'm going to be deleting this hose. I don't like it. This is a cheap, chintzy, plastic clipped hose. We're going to replace it with some heater hose and some worm clamps. I know some of you in the comments are already screaming at me. It's a better, in my opinion, the worm drive clamps and the heater hose is better than this. This is like corrugated plastic that's just ready to break at any second. And if you recall in the last video, or maybe the earlier part of this video, that I did actually break one of the clips. So I think it'll just be good measure to replace this. This is the hose that connects right here to the evap canister. And as you can see, it just has a, like a smooth fitting, so I can just stick a hose over there and crimp it down without concern. These stupid little tabs like to break too much. So let's see what we can do in terms of getting this little valve out without removing my hands, removing my head, or removing some other vital part of me. I don't know if you guys can see it, because I sure can't, but hopefully you can be my eyes and my ears, and maybe my ass as well, because I can't see anything up there. But it looks to me, through the viewfinder thing, that this little valve is actually, and I don't know how this, I've never seen this on one of these, it's actually bolted down. Usually these are not bolted down like that. I've actually never seen one that's bolted down. But of course, on mine, it has to be bolted down, wouldn't it? So we're gonna have to get up in there and pull, there's my finger, pull those little bolts out. It looks like 8 to 10 millimeters, but we're gonna have to take those bolts out to get that cover off, it would appear. After about 20 minutes, we've only gotten the Darth Vader helmet off. Let's see why I call it that. It kind of looks like maybe a Gestapo helmet or something. But you can look up in there now and see that what usually is press fit in place also has a bunch more 8 millimeters all the way around it, actually holding it down to the tank. I've never seen that. I'm sure some of you will comment, oh, I've seen that on every Corolla. Well, on this one, it's not usual for me, okay? Usually, that is not the way it goes. I've changed a couple of these. Usually, they're just press fit into place with that helmet. This one is not, and of course, it had to be my Corolla. So let's get that little collar off of there and see if I can pop this out. All right, another 10 minutes and we have this thingamajig off of here. I do hear a rattling. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that. I don't care, we have the replacement anyway. I definitely see that this thing might have been leaking along the seams. This is the hose we're gonna be replacing with that heater hose and clamps. We're not gonna fool around with this tomfoolishness. That's what this is. This is tomfoolery. See how these plastic clips become brittle and turn to dust? This is tomfoolery. I don't know why Toyota did that. They're usually very good about things, but this is just straight tomfoolery. I've never seen one of these collars before on one of these Corollas. Maybe I'm thinking of the later model, like 2003 plus Corollas. I don't know. Maybe I'm losing my mind slowly. That's possible. What we do have here is the fuel valve assembly. Let's see if we can open this up. This is an OEM part I got from the dealer in Tucson. So as you can tell, other than the connector, it's identical, thank goodness. It also sounds like it rattles, but hopefully it does not leak. This was supposed to be the gasket that I was gonna put back on there, but I don't know if you can see this or not. That is not the gasket. Luckily, this gasket looks absolutely perfect. I don't know if this one comes with one. No, it does not. So we're gonna have to reuse this one, but it looks absolutely perfect. We will, you know, clean it up and make sure that it seals nicely. So let's put this new thing in here. To give kind of an explanation as to what I'm doing here in regards to sort of hacking this. I don't like these stupid clips. I just don't. These are super prone to failure, super prone to leaks. Look at the gaps in these. Like, whoever thought this was a good idea is stupid. Like, and then they're brittle, so they break. This is what we're doing here. It works just fine. It is a smooth surface sealed by a worm clamp. Whatever. Gem glam and the holograms. How about that? Anyway, my point is that this is going to then connect to the evap canister, and the seal will be 10 times better than this thing could ever hope to be. This is a terrible design. This itself is not that bad. This hose should rot in hell.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell. Would you like a cookie, son?
So let's go put this back up in there now with the new valve. Oh look, there goes 5 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents. Yeah, I guess the tank was a little fuller than I thought it was. Maybe that gas gauge is a little pessimistic. I don't know. It said I had just over half a tank. I'm starting to think I had like 3/4 of a tank. Anyway, I think I just wasted about 25 cents, maybe 30 cents now, yammering. So I got to put those bolts back in there. And then you can see I've got the new hose routed over to the evap canister, which is going to go right about there. And this hose is going to go just above that. So let's get all this back together. And we have a guest. Fathead the cat, ladies and gentlemen. What are you doing, Fathead? Huh? He's pondering. Pondering what? We don't know, but pondering. So now we've wasted about 55 cents, I would say. All because I disconnected this little thingamajig here to get the gas tank out. So enough wasting big fat cashiest monies. Let's put this back in. Can you believe that, fathead? I probably lost like 1/8 of a tank of gas doing this job. Also, I rolled over in it. Now my ass is cold and wet and smells like gas. I mean, it always smells like gas, but now it's cold and wet. Ah! That was like a 3D movie. One of those terrible movies they had like, what, 15 years ago, and everything was in 3D.
My Bloody Valentine 3D. Look for it on Blu-ray and 2-disc special edition DVD.
That shit used to give me a headache. Enough of my rambling. The reason I have contacted you, look at that. We have our new hose. I don't know if you can see it. Right there. Right up in there with the hose clamp. The only one with the worm drive. And we have the new valve up in there. Really, there's no more space underneath here. I did have the opportunity to put the gas tank back in. So I think we're all ready to put all these tools away and see if any of this actually worked. Of course, it won't be today. It's going to be like 3 days in the future for me. But for you, it'll be a few seconds. So if we look at this little valve that was on top of the gas tank, you can actually see the problem. For one, see those little white flecklies coming out? Yeah, those little white flecklies are part of the charcoal canister. But the problem is here. Can you see that crack right there? I'll circle it or put some kind of thing around it so you can see it. This was cracked on top. I don't know if you can barely see it. But that's what causes this leak, is that crack on top. You can see there's like a bit of separation. Hey, Balls. Is that you? Hey, Mr. Balls. Let's have a little pet, shall we? Oh, what a lovely creature. You're so warm. You been sunbathing? Yes. Now we're back here in the filth part of my property where I store all of the filth. Yeah, I should probably clean this up. But anyway, that was the, I believe to be the problem, is the crack in this housing. Once you get that crack along this seam right here, that basically lets all the pressure out, and that valve cannot do its job anymore. So, look at those. Oh my gosh. Now those were some balls, huh? That's right. Well, Mr. Balls, hopefully we have solved this evap issue. Oh, look, it's Slit. Hello, Slit. This is Balls. And exactly, and that's Slit. And that's Baby Slit. Hey, Baby Slit. How you going? This is the whole family. The whole orangey family. Get off of my Trans Am, you little monkey butt. Anyway, hopefully this replacement valve will solve all of our woes. Let's find out. So it's been about 205 miles since I've done the repair, and the check engine light has finally stayed off. It's actually passed its inspection. I plugged in the scanner and it went through all 7 parameters. So looks like the check engine light has finally been fixed. It was that valve on top of the gas tank. You can see this thing has quite a bit of wind noise, and just in general, like the amount of noise that you can hear in the cabin is quite a cacophony. But I wouldn't expect any less from this little old car, so that I'm not worried with. I do want to fix that air leak though, quite annoying. But yay, the check engine light is off. Look, there is a airplane landing right there, because we are next to the military base. Anyway, she seems to be driving pretty good. I'm happy with that at least. So we're gonna move on to a couple of other smaller things that I'd like to fix. So I've come back to the junkyard looking for bits and pieces for the Prizm, just little odds and ends. And I'm beginning to notice that my Prizm is a little different than all the others. For instance, if you notice there's nothing up here to mount the rear view mirror, my rear view mirror is mounted here. But for some reason, on every Corolla and Prizm I've run into, it's mounted on the windshield, which is no longer here. It's very unusual, and I'm trying to find out why that is. I need to go check that one and see if maybe it's the same or if it's not. I can't tell. So I did manage to find one other thing I was looking for. This is an '89 Cadillac, and I want those Delco Remy horns. As you can see, I did manage to get the high and low tone horns. But the horns on the Prizm kind of stink. Nobody's gonna get out of the way for those. So I think that these horns from this ancient dinosaur will make people get the fuck out of the way. On a side note, though, just look at the size of this thing. I mean, look at the door. Oh, the door doesn't shut, but these things were behemoths. Look at that trunk. You could just fit anything in there. Look at this fucking thing. So cool. So cool to see these things. Balls, what are you doing? What are you doing? Give me the belly. The forbidden belly. Oh, I guess you don't care if I pet your belly, huh? Okay. That's neat. Belly, 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 belly. So what I'm hoping to accomplish here is to remove and replace this piddly little meat meeper with these Delco Remy dual-tone horns out of an '89 Cadillac. The connector is exactly the same. I don't have to even cut the wires except to splice the secondary tone. But, as you can see, the size is another problem altogether. One of them mounts here in the exact spot and actually mounts perfectly just like that. But two, however, don't quite mingle together the way they're supposed to. As you can see, they have brackets on them that sort of interject into one another. So I've already drilled this one out a little, and I'm gonna have to flatten it, and then I'm gonna have to maybe have to cut the bracket on top and stick it through here. That way they can sort of both sit cockeyed and run off of the same circuit and be right next to each other. And hopefully that works. So after a bit of fiddling, I was able to mount both of these horns in place. You see that they're properly mounted. One has a locking nut behind it, and this one just bolts straight to the radiator frame. There they are, wired in parallel. So now when I go to honk the horn, excuse the beeping. I love that. Oh, I love it. And it really doesn't look non-factory. Like if you just looked at it, you wouldn't notice, because they're hidden way down here in the grill. Now that's an upgrade. Well, we're back doing more on the old Prizola. Because this is a 3-speed automatic, I need to change the differential fluid. I don't know if anyone's ever done that. I doubt anyone's ever done that. And unfortunately on these 3 speeds, the transmission fluid and the differential fluid are separate, not the same fluid. On the 4-speed automatic, the one I have over there, yeah, they're the same fluid, and they mix together internally in the transmission. On these vehicles, that right there is the differential, and it's probably going to be hard to see. Yeah, it's going to be impossible to see, but there's a plug on the back side of this housing for the differential, and that is a completely separate system from the transaxle itself, and that needs to be changed separately. So I need to get a 17 millimeter down in there, and I need to get a I guess a hex head 6 on the drain bolt and see what this fluid looks like. I've checked the transmission fluid itself. This is the actual transmission fluid, and it looks okay. On these vehicles, you cannot do a drain infill. You have to drop the whole pan and change the filter, so we won't be doing that today, but we will be changing the differential fluid. So let's get to that. So now that we're underneath, to give you an idea, that is your differential drain plug. The fill plug is on the back, and this is your transmission drain plug. 2 separate devices, not the same. In fact, if I'm being honest, I didn't even know the transmission had a drain plug, so I guess I'm learning something new on my own freaking car. Let's drain this and see what comes out. It's not that bad. I've seen a lot worse. It's still fairly red, and there's very little filings on the end of this magnetic plug. You can see it dripping over there. So I'm happy to see this. Hopefully the transmission is similar to this. Very hard to see on this level here, but it looks like just under 2 quarts came out, which is what I was expecting to see. I was expecting to see 1.8 quarts. Very good. So I will go and put 1.8 quarts back in this. Luckily we have a little gauge on the side that tells you how much you've used, and that's what we will put back in. The fun part is actually getting to the fill plug. You have to use a comically long funnel, which I've adapted with a hose and secured with one of these worm drive clamps, and that's how you get this down in here. The diameter of the end of this hose has to match the diameter of this bolt. It's no fun, but it works. Our helper has arrived to help us put the fluid back in the transmission, or should I say differential, and a new helper has arrived. Who are you? Hello? You got some fangs on you, huh? Oh, these are some pretty kitties. I truly don't know where all these kitties are coming from. I have zero idea. That's right. You guys are just coming from nowhere. Huh, Balls? Is this your friend? Who's this? Hi. I'm gonna call you Salem, I guess, because, you know, that's Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Wake up, woman! You're not a princess, you're a dragon!
You guys hungry? Oh, yes, yes, yes. Let's get you little monkeys some food. I'm starting to think I'm the cat whisperer. Huh. This gray one is big and fat. Yeah, you're big and fat. But I like this one. This one's really nice. They're all really nice, actually. Isn't that right? Well, this is fun. It's kind of like living in a whole field of cats. Every time I open my door now, there is more or less a dozen cats. Which is fine. They eat mice, and I despise mice. You know, I hate mice to pieces. So I'm not mad about that at all. What I am mad about is O'Reilly's. These guys and their stupid fluid. This little level fluid thing here does not work. I've shined a flashlight in it. I've done everything else I can do, and I can't see the level of the fluid. I can't even gauge the level of the fluid. So I ended up overfilling the differential and spilling a bunch of it. Thanks, O'Reilly's. I need to go get another jug so I can change the transmission fluid. Now that I'm done with the differential fluid, huh, Balls? Yeah. I've decided to go and change the transmission fluid because, again, I didn't know there was a drain plug on these. My other one never had one. Must have been an aftermarket pan. But also, check this out. That looks neat, huh? I had these decals made in turquoise. I don't know, it just looks... I know, it looks great, doesn't it? That's right. This is... Look at that. That's a 6-star review right there. Yeah, that's right. Let's go check out the other one. So I had 3 of them. One on the driver door. One right here for the trunk. So now it is a Chevy Geo Prizm. I don't know, it just looks right to me. You know what I mean? It looks radical and 90s. And there's the last one. I love it. But let's get back to that transmission fluid change because it desperately needs it. The fluid's not that bad, honestly. Even the stuff I pulled out wasn't bad. But it's always good measure to do this stuff while you can. Also, something I'd like to mention. This was $40 at the store. What the hell happened to transmission fluid? This used to be like $17 2 or 3 years ago. I used to do this job all the time, and I never paid $40. That is whack. Hello, Balls. Oh, where are we now? I have no idea. We are in Balls Kingdom. Balls, I'm trying to film a video here. You guys have taken over my channel. This has become a cat channel. It's not even about cars anymore. They're spelled very similar, but they're not the same. Anywho, so I've emptied the pan so we can see what comes out. But if you look at it, this transmission fluid, Balls, get away from that. Get away from the transmission fluid. See how red it looks? I mean, this looks excellent. I am not even remotely scared of this. Usually it's black or like murky. I mean, that's excellent. Bit of a noise coming out of the transmission. That's unusual. But we're going to change it for good measure regardless of its beautiful color. Balls, if you drink that, you're an idiot. Get away. Come on. Let's go. Let's go, buddy. Come on. Get away from that. So sorry for the bing, bing, bing. You know, as I've said before, it just does that with the door open. Even with no keys in the ignition, still does it. Anyway, one thing I'd like to do is change this. I really hate this, like, ripped piece here that, I don't know, it just sucks. Like, this is terrible. Look at that. It has worn through due to time and people wearing boots or whatever. So here's a new one that I have. So let's put this on and make it look as beautiful as it deserves to. Beautiful. Look at that. I do that on almost every Toyota I own just because I have OCD. So we're edging very, very close to completing this car. Let's see what other little tiny niggling things I can find to satisfy my cravings to fix tiny little things. Funny enough, this Prizm wasn't even on the list of cars here. It's an LSI, and it's also the very last year. It's a 2002. That meaning that it has the center console that I was looking for, the sun visors. Again, you can see the rearview mirror is attached to the windshield, unlike mine, which is attached to the roof. Yeah, this car has a bunch of stuff that I need. A bunch. So, it looks like we're going to have to resort to a life of stripping. There's a bunch of stuff that I want out of this car. Let's go. So what treasures did the Junkyard yield? Well, it yielded this beautiful center console with armrest, and it even has the original pop-out coin holder. Very good. I was looking for one of these in the exact same taupe color that my interior is for a while now, and it's in very nice condition. Great score. 2 perfect matching sun visors. Look at the condition of those. Beautiful. Mine are both the wrong color, and the driver's side one quit working last week, so that's fantastic. We got a couple of extra air vents. We got a big fat head here and its dirty little pucker hole. As you can see, some nice fully intact matching color air vents. I don't need these right now, but I probably will one day in the future, so snag those while you can. And of course, a tensioner. You might have seen me replace this in a previous video with a brand new unit. I am pretty sure that brand new Gates Continental 1 that I've... Listen to this. You see how there's no movement? I don't know if you can see this, it's me wobbling, but there's no movement in this pulley at all. I have a strange feeling, and I also got a second pulley to test my theory, that the brand new Gates Continental tensioner, hydraulic tensioner that I bought, has already gone bad after a month. So we're going to take that tensioner back out today and inspect it. I might just be going crazy, or I might be onto something. But first, let's do the interior bits. I also found a better hood. So tomorrow I'm going to go back with the van and snatch the hood, because I've never been a fan of the gap on this hood right here. And this is the hood. This is not the car, this is the hood. They told me that at the body shop. And that hood on that Prizm was immaculate. So we're going to take that. It's even the same color. So we're going to go snatch that hood. But as I was saying, let's throw all this in. There's those new sun visors. Beautiful. Love it. I finally figured out how to shut that thing up, which is nice. You know, the one in the Junkyard had the key in the ignition, and it matched all of the doors and trunk. I might go steal that and install it in this car, because, you know, I have 2 different keys. I have a trunk key and I have an ignition key. That's kind of irritating. It also had the speedometer with the tachometer, which is cool, and I know how to reprogram those odometers to match, so that might be something that I like. And it also had power windows, which would be nice. See, this is one of the problems. I find a nice car and I just strip it. Anyway, since these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sun visors are in place, let's work on this center console here. As you can see, I only really keep smelly things in here. Somebody gave me this recently. Miss Dior. Ooh. I looked this thing up and it's like $25 for this stupid little thing. I don't even use perfume, but I got it for Christmas, so I just put it right there. Apparently people think I'm gay or something. Gee, who would ever got that idea? Alright, I have installed these 2 new beautiful, and I mean beautiful, sun visors. They are in gorgeous condition. I finally got this car to shut up just by putting the key in the ignition. Otherwise, it bongs incessantly. We're going to focus now on changing the center console. As you can see, mine is just a basic one. All it has is an ashtray in the rear. The other one has like a cup holder and some other stuff. I don't know, it's just neater. This is much cleaner than mine, so I'm going to be swapping that over. Yeah, and the other one had power windows with a lot better door panels, so I'm kind of considering going to go snatch both doors as a unit and just sort of put them on the car. Internally anyway, not externally. Just strip them and have power windows in the front. That would be nice. It also had a tachometer, and that would be something nice to have. But enough thinking about pimping out a Geo Prizm. Let's change this center console. So there's the difference between the two. I know, big difference. I'm sure some of you are going to say, well, can't you just screw this piece onto here? No, it's got some kind of like special thing going on here that this one does not have, or I would have done that. But yeah, it's basically identical. Even the color, that's weird sandy beige color, is identical. So that's nice. All right, well, I got that new center console in with the armrest. Very nice. I also got my 2 new sun visors in. Still cannot find one of these roof-mounted rearview mirrors, and as you can see mine, I've tightened it as much as I can, and that's still too wobbly. But I think that about does it for the interior. It came out pretty nice. As for the car itself, you know, it's a lot better than when we started. We started with a wrecked car that somebody had never taken care of, and now we have a reliable daily driver that I drive to work every single day. It looks great, it drives great. I'm gonna put the costs right here. on screen, so you're going to see how much this cost. It was not cheap to do this. I'm not sure if it was really worth doing it. If I'd have known I was going to spend this much in the beginning, I probably would have had some reservations, considering it is a base model and not an LSI. But nowadays, you know, for a daily driver that's reliable, that won't strand you, that looks beautiful, that runs beautiful, that has everything you need in it, you know, you could do a lot worse. So just take a look around. Looks beautiful for what it is. It's never going to be perfect, but I think it came out pretty good. It's got the nice hubcaps on it, nice tires, nice clean side. Look at that. That emblem, beautiful. Beautiful. The rear of the car, just as beautiful. It's a little dirty because the cats like to sit on my trunk for whatever reason. But I think it came out great, all things considered. So, that's going to wrap up part 3. I'm sure there's going to be a part 4 because I can never leave well enough alone, you know me. I'm sure there's some little niggling things that I would like to work on. I might go completely nuts and put power windows in it and do a bunch of other craziness. Who knows? You know what happens when I get involved in stuff. But I think that's going to do it for part 3. So thank you guys for watching. I always appreciate it. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye. It's no surprise to anybody that I like to do some of my Craigslist hunting at night. You know, I like to peruse Craigslist and find jalopies to pick up. Every once in a while, I'll see an ad like this. $2,500 Nissan Versa. Low miles. Runs and drives good. Some bodywork needed on rear. Great opportunity. Call me. 112,000 miles. Clean title. $2,500. So, let's take a look at this. You know, it doesn't look too bad from this angle. Oof. A little bit of a... maybe the bumper's missing. A little bit of a crinkle. It's not too bad. Oh, jeez. Runs and drives good. Some body work needed on rear. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, lady or whoever's selling this. That car's totaled. Look at this. If it was just this, you know, you can already see it's been hit once because the colors all mismatch. Then I could see the $2,500. I mean, it's clearly misaligned. I bet you the unibody substructure is bent. Just this alone, okay. You know, no airbags or anything, but then you see this and you're just like, wow. Runs and drives good. Somehow I doubt that. There's even like a bloody rag or something sticking out the back. You people on Craigslist are fucking nuts. Oh, man. Jeez. I doubt that runs and drives good. Anyway, I just couldn't help but laugh at this one.